Hello, and this is Kent Philpott again, our third program on what is church. Our church is good for you. This is a good thing and no problems and nothing will ever go wrong? Hardly. I know well myself that it's a chancy thing to be a part of a church, and I know that a lot of people stay totally and completely away from churches because they can be toxic. And I have to admit that during the 1970s, I was a part of what I would call a toxic church. And I didn't realize it at first, although I was warned by some people who knew a great deal about it. Actually, professors at two different seminaries, two different denominations altogether. And I was actually warned that the group that I was with was not a healthy group. They used the word cultic, and it shocked me. And I thought, well, wait a minute. I have a good theology. I have good doctrine. And that was not a problem. It was the way we conducted ourselves. It was the way we thought about each other and looked at ourselves and looked at other people. We developed a very strong we-they attitude. At that particular time, it was very charismatic, and I thought that, well, you had to be expressing certain kind of spiritual gifts and really be alive with the Spirit and filled with the Spirit and empowered by the Spirit, or you weren't really up to it. You weren't first-class Christian. You were way down the line if you were a Christian at all. And that was the mentality. I understood that as time went on that was a very cultic way to look at things. It was not a healthy way to do it at all. And it cost me a great deal, as a matter of fact. Sometime toward the latter 1980s, I went through an experience of 6 years of a cult recovery support group that I developed myself, had a number of people be a part of. They came and went over a period of 6 years. And I eventually developed a 26-week program to help people recover from toxic church environments. Christians will talk about cultic groups, and there are cultic groups that, radically depart from the theological, biblical norms that all Christians share, whether we're Roman Catholic or Orthodox, Protestant, or whatever we might think we are. But the doctrine really doesn't have anything to do with it. And it's not that you can say, well, you could go to a Presbyterian or a Baptist or Methodist and they won't be cultic. Any group can actually be cultic in nature. It's not the doctrine, it's the way they think about themselves and other people. You could have a group that, let's say, would be very, very liberal theologically. But they could have a leader that demands a lot of conformity. They could develop a we-they attitude. They can develop certain attitudes about themselves and other people that essentially are toxic and that are kind of captivating. And so it's not always doctrine that get people in trouble. You can have some aberrant theology when it comes to Orthodox Christianity, what has been handed down and we accept, for example, let's say that is stated in the Apostles' Creed and so on. You may have all that, but could be very toxic and could be dangerous. I know, because I was a part of something like that for a long time, and it took me a long time to recover. And I still am sort of recovering from that, and I always have my antenna up, and I am aware of those things that I say, that's worrisome to me. And that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this little series. How is it that you recognize whether a church is safe and healthy and okay? How do you do that? Well, you want to take a look at three different areas. How is it, one, that a person comes into a group? It's called how a person is recruited, if you wanted to use, let's say, language that is more secular that Christians wouldn't generally use, but recruitment. How does somebody come in? And then, secondly, how is somebody motivated? What are the motivation factors to participate and be a part? And then, thirdly, what is the retention process? How are people retained? So we find these three areas in recruitment, motivation, and retention. And the toxicity, the unhealthy ways, will be found in one of these three areas. And I'm going to try to talk about them as best I can. In terms of recruitment, normal Christianity doesn't employ gimmicks or tricks. Normal Christianity does something very simple. It is a proclamation of the message of Jesus. The whole thing. Full disclosure, I like to say. Here's what it is. We're Christians. This is a church. We are in the historic Christian tradition. We are a church, and this is who we are. And it's very blatant. Your recruitment is out front. We believe in Jesus. We invite you to trust in Jesus. Now, the toxicity comes, or the cultic recruitment comes, when other processes are used. There may be social bonding processes or psychological bonding process. A lot of times the use of a small group is used. And the idea is to get you involved, get you connected, get you emotionally bonded to people that you want to become a part of that. In other words, you find other means to do that. The self-help program, for example, there are groups that have so much going on. I mean, this is the place to be. Or maybe it's entertainment oriented and it's exciting. This is the only show in town. I mean, this is where you got to go. Now, the people who are putting this together, they don't intend this to be dangerous or toxic. But nevertheless, they may be employing various tactics to fill the pews, to get people there. But ultimately, it must be considered cultic in nature because they are not out front about what it is, which is the simple presentation of the message of Jesus, who he is and what he did, and how is it that we are connected to Jesus through repentance and faith. So other mechanisms are used to get people involved. It may be persuading people that we're the only real group. Everybody else is bad. Everybody else is nowhere. They're false doctrine. We are the ones. We've got the new improved truth. We've got the revelation. We've got the vision. We've got whatever it happens to be. We've got a prophet. We got to this. We got to that. And if you're not with us, you're nowhere. You're probably going to hell, and so on and so forth. So the recruitment process is not the complete, straightforward declaration of who Jesus is and what he did, and a calling to repentance and faith. Straightforward, no pressures, no psychological, no emotional, but a simple invitation to be a follower of Jesus. That's the end of this program. We'll go on to the next one soon. So long.